What's up, Meditate here, and in this video we will be talking about the anatomy of the stomach. So in the last video we went through the anatomy of the esophagus. Now the next step after the esophagus is the stomach, as you see here. So in this video we're first going to go through the topography of the stomach, basically where it is related to the surrounding structures. After that we're going to go through the external features of the stomach and the different parts of it. Then we're going to go through the layers of the gastric wall. So let's go ahead and start with the topography. So the stomach lies in the epigastric region and the left hypochondriac region, as you see here. Or if you're studying the 4-quadrant division, you will find it in the left upper quadrant. If we expose the stomach a little bit more, you will see that it starts from the abdominal part of the esophagus, and then it curves to the left, and then it reaches the small intestine, or the duodenum of the small intestine. And these two openings that go towards the esophagus and the small intestine has unique names. The openings by which the esophagus communicates with the stomach is known as the cardiac orifice, which is at the level of the 10th to 11th thoracic vertebrae. And the opening by which the stomach communicates with the duodenum of the small intestine is known as the pyloric orifice, at the level of the first lumbar vertebrae. So if we look at the stomach from this perspective, laterally, you will see this. So the stomach has an anterior wall and a posterior wall. So from this position, we can look at the syntopy, meaning the position of the stomach to other organs. Anteriorly, we can find the diaphragm being very close to the anterior abdominal wall. We will find the liver, and we will also find the stomach facing the anterior abdominal wall as well. And the posterior wall of the stomach is close to the left kidney. You will also see the spleen, the pancreas, and the transverse column facing the posterior surface of the stomach as well. So that was the syntopy. Now let's go back and look at the external structures of the stomach. We can see two distinct curvatures on the stomach. We have the lesser curvature here, and since we have a lesser curvature, we also have a greater curvature here. On the lesser curvature, we can find a slight depression called the angular notch, or Incisura angularis. And on the greater curvature, we can find a depression called the cardiac notch of the stomach, or Incisura cardialis in Latin. Now, you should already have a sense of where the stomach is and the different external structures. Let's now divide the stomach into its parts. First, we have this part right here, the cardiac part. Then we have a portion right here, the fundus, that's the top elevation of the stomach. Then the blue area here is the body of the stomach. And the last portion is the pyloric part. And the pyloric part is divided into two regions. We have the pyloric antrum, which is closest to the body of the stomach. And we have the pyloric canal, which communicates with the duodenum of the small intestine. So already now you can have a sense of where the stomach is and the different portions. So now we need to look at the walls of the stomach, because the stomach has some distinct features that are different from the rest of the digestive system. And if you think about the functions of the stomach, you'll get a sense of why it's built like this. So let's try to break this down together. So first we can remove the outer layer of the stomach. And then we need to take a small piece of it and look at it from a histological view. Now keep in mind that the stomach does look slightly different along the fundus and the body and the pylorus of the stomach. This slide is from the body of the stomach, but the layers are the same, and I'll try to highlight the differences along the way. The innermost layer is called the tunica mucosa, highlighted here in yellow, and is usually 2 to 3 centimeters thick. And if you look closely into the lumen of the stomach, you can see that the tunica mucosa forms folds called the gastric folds. And this slide I'm showing you here is a section of one fold. Let me repeat that. Here are bumps. These are the large gastric folds. They have some very small bumps on them called area gastrica, which is essentially what we're seeing here. So the tunica mucosa is generally built up like this. It's lined by simple columnar epithelium. Between them, there are gastric pits, and you will find these mainly in the body and the fundus of the stomach. They contain cells that produce hydrochloric acid and cells that produce digestive enzymes. There are many different cells in the stomach with unique functions you will learn in histology and physiology. Then, underneath the epithelial tissue, you will find connective tissue with many blood vessels and small lymphoid nodules within an area called the lamina propria. Then there's a muscle layer called muscularis mucosa, which is a thin layer of smooth muscle cells at the base of the mucosa that supports the tunica mucosa. So that is the tunica mucosa. And under it, you'll almost always find tela submucosa, containing loose connective tissue, along with associated structures like blood vessels. So next, we have tunica muscularis. And here is where this gets interesting. Usually, in the digestive system, we only have 2 muscle layers in the tunica muscularis. But this time, we have 3. And keep in mind that these are all smooth muscles, so you're not really in control of them. Now let's zoom in and look at the layers in a little more detail. First, the inner layer is an oblique muscle layer. This one consists of oblique muscle fibers that go from the cardiac notch to the anterior and the posterior walls. And then the middle layer consists of circular muscle fibers, and they form this sphincter between the stomach and the duodenum in the pyloric region called the pyloric sphincter muscle. And just so you don't confuse it with the sphincter between the stomach and the esophagus, the lower esophageal sphincter is formed by the smooth muscles of the esophagus, not the stomach. There is this gastroesophageal reflux disease where some people have this lower esophageal sphincter not functioning well, so they get acid reflux a lot, which in the long run can be very damaging to the mucosa of the esophagus. But that's that one. And then the last layer is the outer layer, consisting of longitudinal muscle fibers that are arranged along the lesser and the greater curvature. So that is the tunica muscularis. And then lastly, we have the tunica serosa, which is formed by the peritoneum. I'll talk about the peritoneum in a separate video, but the peritoneum comes and grabs the stomach along with all the other abdominal organs, forming a serious slippery surface called tunica serosa. So that was everything I had about the anatomy of the stomach. If you found this video helpful, please put a like, share, comments, whatever you find convenient to you. The next video in the digestive system is going to be about the small intestine, which consists of the duodenum, jejunum, and the ileum.